Millennials like me apparently have this thing where we make nostalgia kind of part of our personality a little bit, and there have been many watch collaborations over the years, specifically with iconic characters from our childhood like, the Peanuts, and even more recently, comic book characters. But let me just stop you there. There's only been one watch brand that's ever collaborated with Smokey the Bear. For all the non-Americans out there, pick the most notable, iconic childhood mascot that was around when you were around 10 and under or so. That was essentially Smokey the Bear. Now, Smokey pointed to us specifically, the child watching on the screen, and said, "You, yes you, do you want to help stop a natural or man-made catastrophe?" And we all stared back, looking serious as hell, standing at 4'0", and told him, "Yes, Bear, tell me more. Tell me what you need. I will do my duty and I will not fail." The brand Vero came into being around 2015 in Portland, Oregon, and as a main demographic, they've mostly geared themselves toward the adventurer type and the adventuring type kind of watches. That's not all they've got in the catalog, because they also have a few surprises as well, which is good. In the whole exploration and adventuring kind of demographic or subspace of watches and their influences, it's always nice to see something new and have something new done for that kind of community. And Vero is still a relatively young brand, relative to brands that have been around since the steam engine was invented. Though I do have to say that it is possible for a watch brand to produce something that is not new in a space, but still technically new to the market. Maybe one of those chasing the trend watches that are mass produced and have less than quality parts. Clarifying, technically there's nothing wrong with those watches, as it brings more watch enthusiasts into the hobby. And of course, as long as the people who are buying them and wearing them feel good about themselves, that's all fine. But those watches aren't bringing anything new into whatever niche they're inhabiting. But luckily, Vero was like, what kind of crazy Pacific Northwest thinking can we pull off here? Not the stereotypical kind. They went wild with it. Vero, despite being pretty new, still has a solid suite of watches behind it at this current moment. And even more surprising, or less surprising if you're a fan of the brand, they all have a pretty unique kind of feel to them. Moving forward, they have a pretty good foundation to build from. And those families, as I've mentioned, are the SWs, the Open Water, the Meridian, and the Workhorse. Now, usually the case for me is that I don't find every watch made by a company to my taste, and that's kind of the point. You make an accessible series for different people while sticking with what makes your brand your brand. Now, for me personally, only brands like Nomos or Hamilton and maybe one or two others have I looked at the full suite and gone, damn, they cooking. Which makes it tough for me to say which of Vero's lineup is actually their flagship watch. Because watches of those caliber have to have a nearly universal appeal. They also have to carry what makes that brand, or their vibe with it. And that doesn't even include the watch's functional purpose. Is it a tool watch? Is it a dress watch? Is it a hybrid? Is it an all-arounder? That's a really tough line to straddle. For Vero, right this very second, I'd give that status to the Open Water series, and I'll try to do justice as to why. It just comes down to that bezel on the dial. Wow, Chuck, what a revolutionary breakdown. Nobody has ever thought to start an analyzation of a watch like that before. Well, I don't, for lack of better terms, see many cushion bezels that work as well as the Open Water's does. It gets in, it shows what it does, and it gets out. And it's very to the point as a tool watch, and that probably has something to do with the contrast of the black dial with the clean white markers as well. But I make that kind of distinction because there are tool watch hybrids out there. It's like if you put a suit on. You can technically still do karate in it if James Bond is any reference. But overall, I just like the look of the Open Waters. It's matte, it's smoother than most other tool bezels. It's simple. Onto the dial colors, they are loud, but in an okay way. Okay, take for instance one of the Rolex style releases in the past 5 years. Let's say the yellow one or the red one. That is loud. That's louder than a fire truck. That's louder than its siren. But the Open Water series needs to be bright given its function, but it does that in a way that's like a street light does. Like, hey, I'm here to help out and be safe and, have a good time. And I am having a good time. I personally fell in love with the green dial version a while back, but yeah, I love those colors. I'm gonna put 5 or 6 seconds on the board so you can read the specs here. I think Vero's dark horse watch is the SWSS. Because deep down, I think we're all suckers for the big ass 12, 3, 6, 9 numerals front and center. But even if you're not, this has a really good balance and weight to the visual aspects of the dial. It's not busy, it's not crowded, the cardinals are making a statement, but overall, it just works. And again, I'm saying this word again, it's balanced. Overall, it just works. And the hands are there for support. It's noticeable, but not distracting. I just love a good polished case. Here are the specs for this watch. Now, my personal favorite of the Vero line is the Meridian Manual Wind Rally. I don't know what it is, but right now I'm into off-white or cream colored dials. I love them. And sorry for the people who know me and who have been on this channel before and follow me on the socials, but I love a clean, simple, basic dial. But this dial, it almost has almost railroad tracks around the outer dial and its alternating colors, which that's just such a damn good touch. Anyway, these are the specs. Vero is good people's, and I don't mean they're good at making watches, which they are. Let's start out with, selfishly, how good they are to us, the consumer. Who are Vero and what do they bring to the table? They have a 10-year warranty for their watches. And that's not a warranty with asterisks or legalese or little protections or whatever that you have to trigger. If your watch gets a scratch or any other kind of watch boo-boo, you can literally put it in a shoebox, duct tape it up real nice, make sure the address is right, and ship it right back to Vero. And guess what? Full fix-up, the works. They even keep you up to date on every step of the process. None of that, okay, well, we got it, we'll see you in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and those are business days. Then they push the move from in-house to Swiss manufactured parts because, well, the Swiss know what they're doing. And, you know, in-house is kind of a side-eye term nowadays in our watch community. We used to celebrate it like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you do you, man, small business owners, right on. Now in-house movement could be, oh yeah, they make the crown, but oh yeah, they mean only the crown is made in-house. Everything else is kind of questionable. But in those guidelines of manufacturing, they are making sure they are not producing any extra waste when they're making their products. And that's not exclusively to the products, it is also down to the packaging, reusable only, which is nice. I won't go into a recycling bit because I've been in Germany for 3 years and I still don't know how to sort everything for the trash. But that's kind of impressive. And they also didn't have to put an image of a guy in like a yellow jacket and a hard hat looking at a windmill over the distance with some blue and green in the background to, you know, make their point that they're energy efficient and really into recycling and, you know, the betterment of the world. Yes, Vero, like other brands, has had their share of collaborations. But Veros are like, oh neat, whereas, you know, any other collaboration are like, oh, they're doing another collaboration? Okay, I'll check it out on the Hodinky podcast on my drive into work. Take, for instance, their limited edition Safari Special. Now, 55 of these watches were made to commemorate the Mexican 1000, a 1,000-mile race across Mexico. It's in the name, where racers pile into these crazy sleek dune buggy looking things and in the harshest conditions across some crazy terrain. Or their Smokey series, like I mentioned in the beginning, not only is it a dope collaboration pumping out 2 dope watches, but it also brings eyes on preserving and protecting the American forest and the countryside. And portions of those sales go directly to the US Forest Service to help support their efforts. I mean, come on, that's wholesome as hell even without Smokey. I've mentioned before what Vero is doing, and I'm hoping whatever they have planned next is equally as neat. Already, the Workhorse family is a visual representation of that exploration kind of niche they're going for, since they've already established a good representation in the Meridian and the open water. Between the branching out of the collabs, I think they have a real chance of becoming an American favorite in the future. If not already the American favorite. Hell, I'm in Berlin and I love them. And I do think as a whole, it's good to have up-and-comers coming from any country because it keeps our watch hobby fresh. From people like Hanhart to Shinola to Bausel to Christopher Ward, it's just good for everybody involved. These up-and-coming brands, some being around for a decade, are doing something right. They are challenging the industry with their innovations and really making our wallets work to keep up. There's nothing wrong with a Rolex or an Omega watch, but you generally know what you're getting year after year, aside from that whole bubble dial thing. But with the new guys, anything's possible. But for me, I like Vero, this brand, these particular people, because they are just people. They eat cereal just like me, and they probably hate PowerPoint as much as I do. I don't know how it is for the rest of you, but Vero actually talks to me in their DMs and their comments, like real, actual comments. Brands like Rolex don't have to interact with us when we tag them or comment on them or whatever with them in social media. Their image is so rock solid that they can take hits like that day after day. They're basically like really important monks that have taken a vow of silence. It's true they come up with cool watches and cool designs and crazy colors, and they have that whole spirit of exploration and adventure, and it feels like our relationship is just a transaction. Like you walk in, you shake hands, you take your watch, and you leave. That's it. It's probably why people sought out that personal touch with ADs for so long. But Vero, along with a few other brands, just gets it. Yeah, they'll engage with us because it's good optics, but yeah, they also understand that the main point of having a watch community is the community part. And yeah, they're trying to sell me something, but I'd rather buy something from somebody who's willing to let me have the last slice of pizza at a party. Yeah, that's it. That's the brand highlight for the watch brand Vero. And yeah, that's it. This is my first time doing this, and I'm just kind of used to the 2-minute reviews or the watch news videos that I make, or the silly little reels. So yeah, the closest thing that I've made before is the 2-minute reviews, which are just made to push people who are on the fence about buying a watch over the fence to just buy the damn watch without any like spec reviews or huge analysis or in-depth whatevers, because the videos assume they've already been down the rabbit hole of specification and research and analysis on these watches that they want to purchase. Maybe you guys would want to hear more of that kind of stuff in these longer type form videos, like the specs and the analysis and talking more about the design. So just let me know.